Hey guys, what's up? We're back with some more reactions after dark, and we are going to be watching Her Rotting Body Was in the Playground for Years, No One Cared, The Handcart Murder by Dark Asia with Megan, which this is, of course, the first time we're ever watching one of her videos. I haven't watched any of her videos ever. Like, this is literally my first time watching, and this is one of her newer videos, which this was 5 days ago. Just to see, but I've mentioned her a few times in the Rotten Mango videos, just as like someone else to watch. I just randomly saw her pop up on my timeline. I'm guessing because I'm watching Rotten Mango because her videos just seem to be like possibly the exact same thing. Thumbnails are kind of like the same, just her in the center of the thumbnail with two images on the left and right. A little a bit of writing on the bottom of the thumbnail. Like literally, it's just like pretty close one to one. And there's also about like true crime and stuff like that. I'm assuming Asia based, since again this is Dark Asia with Megan. So we're just gonna see if this is okay. The only difference between the two of them, I would assume, is well, obviously maybe how they actually make the videos themselves. Outside of the thumbnails are pretty similar, but these videos are really short, like anywhere between like 10 and 30 minutes. This one in particular is 19 minutes, so we can actually have like a bite-sized version of Rotten Mango alongside Rotten Mango. This will probably be the second video for the day, since I was saying before that I might want to do two videos sometimes around, so this video is probably going up with the Fisherman video that was done by Rotten Mango. I said I might do that, upload this one earlier, but it's already 5 o'clock, and today's video, which is the kimchi one, is going to go up in like an hour. It's scheduled to go up in an hour, so as though I could upload this in time. I mean, I could, but I don't want to. We're going to upload this tomorrow. So this one should be going up the same time as the Fisherman story, though I don't know when I'm going to upload this, make this one go live. I kind of wanted to go after that one, so probably like 3 hours later, 2 or 3 hours later, since that video is almost 3 hours, so probably 3 hours later. So it's probably at 9 o'clock this video will go up. But yep. Oh, I don't have the pin turned on. Hold on. Okay, pin is on. Now the only issue I have, or potential issue I may have with trying to do the Dark Asia with Megan videos is just that they're so short. I feel like maybe I won't even have anything to say, and there won't be anywhere to interject in and talk about what's happening. I hope that's not the case, because it just means, well, I can't do these videos. But if you're seeing this video, that means things have gone at least okay enough to be uploaded. Because I am trying to at least get a decent chunk of talk time in. Usually I would want it to be close to twice the length of the video. I mean, I'm with the Rotten Mango videos, I'm not really getting too close to that, but I at least want to try to get near double the length. So this video hopefully is around 30 or 40 minutes. I hope.
An old handcart sat in the corner of a playground in Gyeonggi Province, South Korea, ignored for years. Kids played beside it, parents walked past it, but no one gave it a second thought.
So already, I did see the first. I listened to the first few seconds of this, just to see if I was going to get hooked or not. Um, just someone just left this cart, which looks so old. Like, who's out here using a cart like this? Maybe it's not, but maybe it's just like common over there. Just like, really, we just left this thing there. It's just rancid. It has to be so rancid, right? If it's been there for years, and you're just in the heat, just it must be so bad. And people just out here walking past it and just playing near it, like just no issues whatsoever. Just people just like, oh yeah, it's just that smelly cart.
Until one summer afternoon in 2011, when a guard opened a cooler inside that cart and found a dismembered body.
Okay, just guards just randomly like, yeah, I'm just gonna take a peek inside. I mean, I guess that's you would eventually have to have someone show up, right? But how many years was it until 2011?
Who was she? Who left her there? And how did no one notice? This is the story of a murder hidden in plain sight. This is the Ansan handcart murder case.
Don't know if that tune is licensed, but I mean, we'll just have to like weather the storm, see what is and isn't okay. That Dark Asia with Megan.
So, my friend flew in from Korea to visit me here in Malaysia, and like a lot of travelers, he bought some random eSIM online. It looked cheap, so he went for it. But the moment he
Is
landed
this
and tried to
an
book a
ad?
grab, the internet cut out.
Okay, I think this is a ad for something. Because I was wondering whether the address is different, but it's just because there's an ad read here. So very quick ad read. I guess we're just getting straight at getting it out of the way instead of like in the middle of a video like Rotten would do. I mean, this is more normal behavior, right? To just have an ad like this at the very beginning rather than towards any like deep part of the video, which I think you would normally be seeing. So we can't really talk about much at all yet because we haven't really gotten to the story yet. So we can maybe just like speed through this uh, and then get. Oh, went too fast. Computer couldn't take it. Yeah, like what triggered the guard to end up actually checking on this cart
Download the
after
Saley app right.
after so long, or still not done? After so long, like what was the catalyst that finally made
Stay
him
connected.
do that, or made anybody go do that? Is what I mean.
July 6, 2011, in the heart of Chojidong, Danwon-gu, Ansan, South Korea, a quiet apartment complex with a familiar playground. It was the kind of place where children played freely and neighbors passed by without a second thought.
But we are saying this is the actual playground, uh, minus the filter that's being put on top of it. Where would this cart even be? It looked like it was next to a tree on the path, so it wouldn't be here. I feel like it was like on the entrance into the place.
That day was no different. Kids were running around, playing like they always did. But then one of the parents noticed something.
Okay, so the cart there. Could we see this before? In the other picture? Let's see. I was looking for it. I don't see it, so I don't think so.
An old hand cart left near the playground. It had been sitting there for a long time, and she thought it was dangerous. Her concern was simple. A child had bumped into it and gotten hurt, so she asked the apartment security office to remove it. That one small complaint, something that might have been brushed off on any other day, ended up uncovering something unthinkable.
Okay, so how long has it been there then? So just randomly a kid got hurt just years later, and they're like, my kid got hurt, get this out of here. And that's all it took. Finally, after years of sitting there potentially forever.
So, what exactly happened? The cart had become part of the scenery. It had been sitting there for so long that no one really noticed it anymore. For nearly 3 years, it had been abandoned. No one knew where it came from. No one seemed to care. Until that one parent spoke up. Even the apartment guards had no idea who had left it there or when.
Roll me back.
Came from. No one seemed to care. Until that one parent spoke up. Even the apartment guards had no idea who had left it there or when. Still, one of the security guards, Mr. Kim, decided it was time to deal with it himself. He walked over, ready to clean it out. As he began moving things around, he came across a large, heavy ice box loaded onto the cart. At first, he assumed it was just trash, maybe someone's leftover belongings. But when he opened it, he found layers upon layers of plastic, soaked in a dark liquid. It gave off a foul stench so strong that it made him gag.
So was the plastic enough to keep the smell out? And now that it's open, now they can actually see that something's wrong?
Was unlike anything he had ever encountered. Still, determined to finish the job, Mr. Kim kept going. He removed the plastic one layer at a time, and underneath it all, he found a large travel suitcase. When he unzipped it, he froze. Inside were human body parts, a leg, severely decomposed remains packed tightly inside. What had seemed like an eyesore at the edge of a playground turned out to be the hiding place of a horrifying secret. It was around 3:10 in the afternoon. Mr. Kim, shocked by what he had just discovered, immediately called the police.
Yeah, see, this is just, we knew this, but this is just a guard, just some random average guy. He's not a police officer, so this is probably pretty rough for him.
Officers arrived at the scene shortly after. But even they were taken aback. The sight inside the suitcase was something no one was prepared for. The police began examining the remains right away, and slowly, the outline of a horrifying crime began to emerge. The body had been decapitated, both thumbs were missing,
Weird.
and the level of decomposition was so severe. So much so that the only thing they could tell for sure was that the victim was a woman. It was clear this wasn't something they could solve through conventional means. Scientific analysis would be crucial. They sent the remains to the National Forensic Service for an autopsy. It was the only way to get answers. The body was too decomposed for visual identification, and there was no ID, no belongings, no face left to recognize. But science still had something to work with. Among the dismembered remains, a few fingers were relatively intact. Forensic technicians carefully examined what little was left, lifting what they could from the decaying skin. From just 3 partial fingerprints, they found a match. The victim was identified. Her name has never been publicly released, only her surname.
Okay, well, Park, it says Park up top, but she's about to say it's
Mrs. Pak. Born in 1968, she was 44 years old. And she hadn't been some nameless drifter. She had lived in that very apartment complex, walking the same paths, using the same elevators, passing by the same neighbors who, for years, would never know what became of her.
Okay, so people possibly knew this woman, but just didn't notice that she disappeared one day. Again, it's still confusing how many years, because we don't have an ETA on how long this thing has been there.
Mrs. Bach had a physical disability in her left arm and was registered as a level 4 cerebral palsy patient under the National Disability System. She didn't work. She survived on basic social welfare and a monthly disability stipend, just enough to scrape by. To some, she might have been invisible, a quiet, solitary woman trying to live a quiet, solitary life. She had few social connections, no job to clock into, no strong support network to notice when she went missing. And that was part of the tragedy. No one filed a missing person report. No one rang the alarm when she stopped showing up, not even when her apartment remained unvisited. She simply vanished. Mrs. Pak had disappeared without a trace back on March 31st, 2006, over 5 years before the discovery. It wasn't until her remains were found
Roll that back.
person report. No one rang the alarm when she stopped showing up, not even when her apartment remained unvisited. She simply vanished. Mrs. Pak had disappeared without a trace back on March 31st, 2006.
2006. It was 2011 when they found the body. So 5 years.
Over 5 years before the discovery.
So it hasn't been sitting there for 5 years. Real photo of the hand card. Is this it before she was murdered?
It wasn't until her remains were found in the most unimaginable way, folded inside an old suitcase, which was inside an icebox, in a handcart, under layers of plastic, that anyone realized she was gone. During the investigation, they found no useful phone records, no hospital visits, no reports from friends or family that could clearly explain when or how she had gone missing, or even when she might have died. Her life had simply gone quiet, and now, years later, her body had surfaced in the most chilling way. The first possibility investigators considered was Mrs. Pak's ex-husband.
I think that's always the case, right? You have to look at whoever is the closest to the person when they're murdered, right? And I guess if ex-husband means that maybe there was some sort of reason for them breaking up, and maybe he's upset, yada yada yada. Probably not him. It's just I think that's just what cops are what you're supposed not what you're supposed to do, but just we think they're doing is like they always choose to investigate whoever's closest at the time. Like if you're really close, then you're probably a suspect, rather than just some random stranger. Because I think murders are typically the majority of them are from actual people who knew these victim, etc., etc.
After news of the case broke, his name quickly surfaced as a potential suspect. According to people who knew Mrs. Park, she had suffered greatly during her marriage. They described years of domestic violence, not just physical abuse, but emotional and financial control as well. The couple had officially divorced in May 2005. Afterward, Mrs. Park changed her registered address and moved to Siheung, Gyeonggi Province. It seemed like she had finally cut ties with him for good. What complicated the suspicion, though, was her ex-husband's current life. He had reportedly been doing volunteer work at a welfare foundation in Gangwon Province. He was also caring for their 17-year-old son, who was diagnosed with autism. That raised a question. Would someone in his position really come back years later to kill his ex-wife?
Yeah, someone who's doing charity, if I've read that correctly, and then taking care of their child. Uh, it is also suspicious that, like, why are you such a saint now? If people knew you were so abusive before, are you trying to hide something by being such a saint? That just makes it more suspicious, right? But like, assuming we're just getting this part out of the way, and it's not him, but maybe it is.
Digging deeper, there were no known records of criminal violence or any behavior that would suggest a clear motive for murder. The police did initially consider him a person of interest, but later ruled him out due to lack of evidence.
Are we like saying that because he actually did do it?
No strong connections, no hard proof. Still, some weren't convinced. They argued that domestic violence is often hidden, that there may have been resentment or threats that never surfaced. Others speculated that his outward image as a kind, helpful man might have been a facade.
That's what I was saying. Like you're pretending to be a saint now to cover up not being a good person.
And that he could have continued threatening her in private. But again, in the official investigation, no concrete link was ever found. So, as it stands, the ex-husband theory remains just that, a theory, nothing more.
That makes it seem like that they haven't found the killer. We're halfway through, but it makes it seem like they haven't found them.
The second possibility is that the killer was an unknown third party, someone completely unrelated to Mrs. Park's immediate circle.
So she might just be speaking in the way to not give away who's actually doing this, and she'll reveal it later at the end. But maybe they just haven't figured out who did it.
In other words, it might not have been someone close to her at all. A random perpetrator, a stranger, still remains a very real possibility. Mrs. Park lived on the margins of society. She survived on disability payments and basic welfare support with little to no safety net. She could have easily become a target, vulnerable, isolated, and unnoticed. After all, she had been missing since 2006. This raises haunting questions. Was she on the run from someone? Was she being chased? Or did she live briefly with someone new?
I feel like we're kind of like grasping at that. I guess it's just because she got a new apartment and whatnot, but I feel like that's like a reach.
Only for things to go terribly wrong. It's possible that after the murder, the killer used the handcart, maybe one they stumbled across by chance, or maybe they knew exactly where it was. And
Yeah, because here, this must be an older photo of this area, but the cart was just sitting there this entire time. But why would they just like dump her body so close to this place and just bail? And do we have cameras here? We have like photo evidence, but are there actual cameras? Is this just afterwards maybe? Like they've removed the stuff out of the cart and just taking pictures of the location? I don't know. Has this cart just been there forever and the killer just happened to put her body here?
and dump the body there in a hurry, hoping no one would notice. And in that scenario, the idea that someone in the apartment complex might have helped, or at least turned a blind eye, can't be completely ruled out. Whoever did it seemed to know that the handcart had been sitting there for years without anyone touching it.
Yeah, that would make more sense. If again, like, if it's been there, where we're going with that, if it's been there forever, no one would bat an eye that it is just there because it's always been there. So there's no reason for it to not to be there. So just I guess they're throwing some junk in there. Maybe people might not notice that there's been junk there, and they just assume like, oh yeah, it's always looked that way. Uh, you're literally just hiding in plain sight.
They may have been familiar with the apartment layout, possibly even someone living in the same community. And then comes the third possibility, the most unsettling one of all, Mr. Chong. He was the owner of this handcart and the most likely suspect. When police learned the cart had been sitting at the playground for nearly 3 years, their immediate priority was to track down whoever it belonged to.
It hasn't been there the entire time. So she died, was put into the suitcase and then cooler, and then inside the cooler, wrapped up. I'm assuming to keep the smell out of, keep the smell from getting out. But then it was not put in this cart in real time. This cart didn't exist there yet until 2 years after she was killed. And then it rolled up there and just sat there forever. And nobody batted an eye that the cart just happened to appear one day.
Eventually, they identified him, a man named Chong, 66 years old. The connection between Chong and Mrs. Park raised more questions than answers. Chong wasn't just any ordinary man. He had a past, one steeped in blood. Years
Really?
earlier, he had been convicted of murder. The court had sentenced him to death, a punishment reserved for the most brutal of crimes in South Korea. But somehow, Chong avoided the news.
I mean, that obviously makes him the most suspicious. If he's already done it once, it might be easier to do it a second time.
He was labeled a model prisoner, the kind of inmate who attended chapel, obeyed the rules, and kept his head down.
Okay, he's a psychopath then? Because he could just be going through the motions. He knows what he has to do to stay in society by mimicking human behavior and what he thinks will get him out of here. He's just mimicking it, and now he's done it, and now he's out.
Eventually, his sentence was reduced, and he walked free.
Kind of crazy that they can just reduce you from death penalty down to a few years.
And when he did, he seemed reborn. He immersed himself in Christian outreach, even founded a ministry for people with disabilities. To outsiders, he was a man redeemed, quietly tending to the forgotten, the neglected. He led Bible studies. He prayed with the vulnerable. People started calling him a good man. But behind that gentle image, things weren't so clean. If you look closer, the cracks in his story began to show. He told people he had killed his wife in a fit of rage after discovering she had cheated on him, as if that explained everything.
Yeah, we were trying to label it as a crime of passion rather than like a cold-blooded kill or just like you're a psychopath, right? Like I'm not a psychopath. I didn't do it uh, just for the fun of it. It was a crime of passion, whatever. I'm assuming is what he's doing there, just lying about it, but clearly that's not the case.
But that wasn't true. Court records revealed that his victim had actually been his mistress. He also claimed to be a dentist, confident, polished, educated. But no one could ever find a license, a diploma, or even a trace of formal medical training. It was all smoke. And then there was his connection to Mrs. Park. At some point, Chong began collecting her monthly disability allowance, about 400,000 won, supposedly on her behalf. It's unclear when or how this started. What is clear is that such an arrangement would require either legal guardianship or very deep trust. Chong had neither. Even more suspicious, there were records showing he had helped facilitate her move into the same apartment complex where he lived.
I mean, it seems like he killed her so he could take all her money, just get an little, extra little cash every month, it seems. I mean, that's how the picture's being painted now.
Paper, it looked like he was helping her. But was he? What if all that kindness was just a mask? What if he lured her in under the pretense of offering care and used her for money, control, perhaps even companionship until she became inconvenient? And what if, when she resisted, she disappeared? The problem was, investigators couldn't dig any deeper into the man who looked more and more like the key to the entire case, because by the time they identified him, Chong was already dead.
So, really? So she's killed 5 years ago, and then in those 5 years, he dies at some point. Because he got out when he was he 6? He got out, or we're just saying he was 66 now? So I guess like he's in his 70s, so he's just getting closer and closer to easily dying. So I guess that makes sense. But
He had died of cancer in late 2009, and with him, perhaps, died the only real chance at understanding what truly happened to Mrs. Park. With him no longer alive, questioning or charging him became impossible. Could Chong have killed her? It's possible. If Mrs. Park was murdered before his death in late 2009, yes. But if her death came after, then someone else was responsible, and that's the part no one can answer. The autopsy couldn't narrow down an exact time of death. All it revealed was that the body had been decomposing for at least 6 months. Not a year, not 5, just a vague threshold.
okay, so we're muddying up the timeline of her death because we thought it was 5 years ago, but apparently not. So now we're confused. The cart was been there for 5 years, but no, it actually has been there for 3 years. So she hasn't been dead for 5, but no, she's actually been decomposing for 6 months. So yeah, who knows what's going on with the story now? You're saying was it kept cool for a long time so it wouldn't decompose? Is that what you're trying to say with that? Just to get off the hook of it being there for so long?
Enough to confirm she'd been dead for a long time, but not long enough to know when. That uncertainty leaves everything on edge. And the location, it didn't make sense because Mrs. Park's body wasn't buried deep in the woods or dumped in a river. It was left in a handcart in the middle of an apartment complex playground, a space where children played, parents gathered, and people passed by every day. So why hide a body there? Unless someone was counting on the fact that no one would look. That, in a place so ordinary, so familiar, no one would think to question what had always been there. Another obstacle, there were no security cameras near the playground.
Yeah, that's what I was assuming. There must have not been anything there. Like I was asking if they had cameras, but it seems like they don't. Which, it's a playground with children. I feel like it almost should be mandatory for there to be cameras there, but I guess not. I don't know if I've ever seen cameras at uh, any of the playgrounds that I've been at. And that's like, I don't mean like I was looking for them as a child. Like as a teenager, we would go and hang out the playground too, as well. Like, but there's two different ones that we'd hang out at. Like one downtown, and then when we were on like the south side of town, we'd be going to a different one as well. Uh, and I don't remember noticing anything there. So I guess they just don't do that. But I feel like, hello? Isn't that like a good place to put a camera? Is that a playground? To make sure the kids, if anything happens to children, we know what happens?
No footage of who left the cart there. Today, it's rare to find a playground without CCTV.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Isn't that just normal? Or shouldn't that be normal?
But back in 2008, it wasn't the norm.
Also, I'm talking about basically around that time period. Like the late double O's, the early 2010s, like around that area is what I'm talking about.
All those blind spots allowed something or someone to vanish. Some residents claimed they'd seen the card as early as 2008. Others said it appeared in 2009, but no one could agree on the exact time. And if Chong was the killer, why would he choose a place so exposed? Why risk discovery by dumping a body in his own apartment complex?
Is this a dramatic recreation? I mean, if he died in 2009, the cart showed up in 2009, it could be like, okay, he's been keeping it cool in his refrigerator for X amount of years, but he wants to get rid of it, so he put out a cart. He like rolled the cart out into the playgrounds for a second, but maybe he forgot something, and then uh, went back up to his apartments, but then came back out, but then like really, like cancer just I don't know, just really was doing him in, and he had to go to the hospital immediately, and then just like slowly faded away or something. I don't know.
And more baffling still, why use his own cart? Anyone who saw it, who recognized it, could have traced it back to him. It wasn't some anonymous trash heap or public bin. It was his, familiar to the security guards, to neighbors, to the very community where he lived. If the goal was to hide a crime, it was an illogical move. Was it recklessness? Or confidence that because of who the victim was, disabled, poor, socially invisible, her disappearance would go unnoticed? Either way, the choice of location, the use of his own cart, and the fact that it remained untouched for years all point not just to a brutal crime, but to a chilling calculation. And with Chong gone, the investigation hit a wall. There were no signs of accomplices.
I mean, there's only a couple minutes left, so I'm assuming we're not gonna get any resolution to this story.
No useful witnesses, no one close to Mrs. Park who could offer answers. And so, over time, the case faded. No resolution. Just a forgotten woman in a forgotten cart in the middle of a place that should have been the safest of all. So, what was discovered in July 2011 remains to this day an unsolved mystery. Several television programs, journalists, and investigators tried to uncover the truth. None could, especially since the key suspect was already gone. And the victim, Mrs. Park, was a vulnerable woman, disabled, struggling financially, living without a support system. No one asked questions. No one asked why she was left in pieces, hidden in plain sight for years, and no one realized. It's heartbreaking. So, what do you think really happened? Was Mrs. Park killed by the very man who claimed to care for her, a convicted murderer hiding behind a mask of faith and charity? Or was her death the work of someone else entirely, a stranger who took advantage of her isolation and left no trace behind? Was her body hidden in plain sight out of recklessness or because someone knew no one would ever look?
That's what I don't know about that. Like, I feel like it's not the highest probability. I think maybe just literally just he had her in there. He was gonna go dump her somewhere, but then the cancer really kicked in, and he just ended up leaving her there at some point. Like we didn't know how he died from cancer. Like was it slow in the hospital or was it just like immediate? 'Cause literally, you could just be like, okay, well, he was again, like I said, had her refrigerated for a while, which is why she was in a cooler, why she was in a suitcase that was in a cooler, and then in plastic, because she had just been sitting in there for a while. But then he's like, okay, I need to get rid of this eventually, finally. So he was going to go do that, but then as he was moving the cart, he like sat it down next to wherever it was, and then like again had to go do something, and got caught up in a bunch of stuff. But then eventually the cancer started eating away at him, and then like he just never retrieved the cart. Like I feel like saying it was such like a just a 5,000 IQ calculated move. I don't know if that's like what happened here or not.
In the end, we may never know who killed her. Too much time has passed, and the key suspect is dead. And the silence surrounding Mrs. Park's life and death remains deafening. But maybe that's the real tragedy here, a tragedy shaped not only by violence, but by silence, by neglect, by a society that failed to see her, even when she was right there. Some say this case reveals something darker than just murder. It shows us how easy it is for someone to disappear in a crowded city. How, even in a place filled with people, a body can be hidden for years without suspicion. No one cared. And that is perhaps the most chilling part of this case. So let me know what you think in the comments. Could this have been solved, or was it doomed to be forgotten from the very start? That is all for today. Thanks for watching.
So that is the end of that. So that was okay. Didn't really have any problems with that. Of course, since it's so quick, again, there's only so much you can talk about. But it was, they could only determine that it had been decomposing for at least 6 months. Could they not see how she died, though? I don't know if she talked about that. Like, how did she die? Was there any stab wounds, blunt trauma? So, again, I mean, again, I don't know why I say again so much. It's annoying. Um, like, I say it when I haven't previously stated anything. I don't know why I've gotten into the habit of saying it again like a million times, but uh, blunt, blunt force trauma, I'd assume, would cause cracks in the bones, if not complete cave-ins. You know, if you get hit in the skull, there would be a hole in the skull, so you would know that's how she died. And then you could maybe go off of something like that, like try to find something, like try to figure out what could have caused such damage, or if it was a knife, what kind of knife, like anything. Like, was it really that bad? They couldn't figure out a single thing about what happened. Again, like, the guy's dead, so even that guy is dead, so even if it ended up being him, it doesn't really matter. He's already gone, but again, who knows? But yeah, it seems a pretty okay channel to watch just as a secondary thing for the Rad videos. Though she is doing the YouTuber spooky voice or whatnot. By that I mean she's deliberately like speaking from the top back of her mouth, and like basically like around the uvula. I think you get like that kind of sound, like you're holding that sound, and then at the end of your sentence, you're dragging it out. You know, I can't really do it, but like every time you finish a sentence, you always end it by holding your final word. You know, whilst speaking from the back of your throat, basically. So that's a bit much. I don't feel like that was necessary. But this is her newest video, so I'm assuming she's just doing this. She's always been doing that. But she is putting on the YouTuber voice for these videos, so I don't know if anyone has any issues with that kind of like a tone, that kind of like voice being put on. But yeah, just let me know if you are fine with this being like a secondary video in the Reactions After Dark series. So we are probably going to throw in Crowley in here whenever he uploads a new thing. Masquerade, uh, The Void, the Enigma guy. I forget what the first part of the guy's name is, but something Enigma that was suggested. That guy, Blame It on Jorge, uh, her. So Dark Asia with Megan. She also has another channel called Beauty and the Beast where she does uh, supernatural stuff that I'm interested in for sure, because I want a supernatural stuff, part of the rad stuff. I want supernatural. Nuke's Top 5, of course, but yeah, all that stuff can be secondary. Rotten Mango every day, but then sometimes we'll have a second video of something like this. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Remember to buy my stickers, or think about becoming a member, or subscribe if you haven't subscribed, because we're working on watch time and subscribers, and we have a throw now as well. And shout out to the members, EmmyStarr and RaleyDrew. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Tune into the next episode. Like, subscribe, comment. Do the do. See ya.